Nothing in the gate bias.
When things get tight in top-end sport, it's common to hear teams talk about momentum. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli's Jimmy Spithill says it frequently, and last night he kept repeating it as he explained the team's mood to the media. Given their dramatic day, in which it looked as if they might be heading towards the exit, to see them come back from the brink and win the next race to level the score is a great example. Recovery on this scale does create momentum. It's not difficult to imagine the mood of defiance and satisfaction as this team got back to base yesterday afternoon. They could easily have been depressed by a day that saw another breakdown, but instead they were boosted by their collective response to the crisis. The British came off the water on the back foot. They were keen to emphasise the positive aspects of their day, but underneath they knew they'd thrown away an opportunity to gain that momentum. So while it's really hard to separate the two teams in terms of straight line performance, a pattern is starting to appear, which may point towards the ultimate winner of the Louis Vuitton Cup. Given that both boats seem very evenly matched, there are a few things that set these two apart. This team has now suffered 3 mechanical problems. It's true that all the teams have and will no doubt continue to suffer breakdowns. But for Luna Rossa, 2 of them have handed the race to the British. While they're keen to focus on their response and ability to come back, having the threat of a breakdown hanging over them is both unnerving and a bit of a lottery. But when they're on a roll, the Silver Bullet is a fast boat. Their wins seem to be much more comfortable than when INEOS take the points. They win by a bigger margin. They seem to be able to switch on the high mode upwind too. Overall, I'd say at this stage the Italians are the marginally faster team at the moment. But there's that reliability issue. And we've seen how they've been on the back foot at times when it comes to changing gear and remoding their boat. For INEOS, Britannia seems to be a more robust and reliable package. They have the speed, but when they win, they've usually done it by defending well, and the margin is much tighter. Where they seem to have a weakness is in unforced errors and boundary penalties. Throughout the Cup Series so far, we've seen a number of own goals. So the bottom line seems to be that in a pair that are very closely matched, their individual Achilles heels are the Italians, breakdowns, the British, unforced penalties. But one thing is for sure, both teams would have discussed this at length last night, which makes today all the more fascinating. So the big question is, will we get to see who breaks that deadlock and gain the momentum? While the breeze was in the teens, it was coming from the east and the sea state looked very tricky. The pre-start had shades of the previous days as the pair squared up to each other, especially when INEOS Britannia tried to get a hook under the Italians. They couldn't quite manage it, but what it did was to put more pressure on the Italians, who were already a bit too early for the start. Eventually Luna Rossa tacked off onto port, while the British went for the pin end of the line. Both hit the line smack on and shot out to opposite sides of the course. The crucial first cross went to Luna Rossa, as INEOS had to duck them. The next cross saw that advantage swapped, as Luna Rossa ducked the Brits. But by the third cross, INEOS managed to get ahead on port before pulling off an impressive tack bearaway around the left-hand gate. The Italians did the same around the opposite mark. There was just 2 seconds between them. In reality, neck and neck. INEOS managed to get a better run, gaining on the left-hand side, and were 12 seconds ahead at the bottom. From there, the next lap was just as close, but it was a lured rounding in the second lap that helped to define the rest of this race, as Luna Rossa splashed down momentarily after the rounding. And by the top gate they were 15 seconds behind. One more lap did little to change things, and by the end the British took the win by 23 seconds.
Yeah, we're on a knife edge today with the waves rather than yesterday with the wind speed. You know, to be honest, it's you're pretty fully focused either way. But yeah, it's a knife edge keeping these foiling boats. Yeah, they're delicately, finely tuned and cutting through the wave tops and not falling off the foil. So real challenge for all the teams.
Yeah. Well, this time was really a nice race. We are just struggling a little bit with the jib, but I mean the INEOS sell a good race, and we made a little mistake at that bottom mark, losing grip on the rudder, and yeah, I mean we are ready for the next one. We have been through this, and yeah, it feels like every day is the same day.
The pre-start in this race was a close one. This time it was Rossa that were the aggressors, but their enthusiasm to control the British from behind got them a bit too close to the line before the start. INEOS pressed them up and then pulled their own trigger when it mattered. Even then they were scarily close to the line. Both boats started bang on and at pace, but it was the British that had the edge and managed to squeeze the Italians to the point that Rossa had to tack away. INEOS tacked to cover, and from there all the way up the beach they managed to keep a narrow 3-second advantage by the top gate. On the downwind leg, INEOS managed to extend their lead to 11 seconds. From there, Rossa kept the pressure on, and when INEOS stalled the rudders through a jibe, the game closed up considerably. Despite having recovered, it took a while to get their composure back, and the Italians got to within less than 100 metres. But close as it was, the British regrouped and got their lead back under control to take the win by 8 seconds.
It's great, good effort from the team. You know, it's bloody hard to sail these boats and these waves. It's just hard to explain to people just how tough it is. Team did a great job, so obviously great get the 2 wins, and still a long way to go. We still need to get to 7.
Really challenging conditions. Full credit to INEOS for getting those 2 race wins. The boys kept fighting the whole way to the end, but yeah, just no mistakes, and yeah, we'll come back out the next day swinging.
How good does that feel?
Yeah, it's good. It's been frustrating every day so far. It feels as though we've thrown some races away, and so it was good to execute those races and take the 2 bullets.
It was a pretty sketchy conditions at times, wasn't it? We heard you talk about it in between races. Just talk us through just how twitchy it was in that sea state.
Yeah, the sea state from that southeasterly, the easterly, makes it quite difficult. It's much shorter and sharper than the typical Garby southwesterly, and so we're not able to, you know, sail the boat in the same way as we could yesterday. So you're always on the edge of control and trying to find the right balance.
We saw you have a little bit of a skip. It was the second race, wasn't it, downwind, and you lost it a little bit. You recovered, but then it seemed to take you a while to recover again, because when you went upwind, you didn't seem to be able to point against Rossa. You lost out loads of distance. What was going on there?
Yeah, when we took our foot off the gas because we had a little lead, and then had an issue which, just quite easy to do, letting us out, taking the foot off the gas, and from there, unfortunately, we let basically a lot of sails out ultimately, and so it was a big wind on to get everything trimmed back on. I think, the yachts are fast, but you've got to wind everything on, and there's a lot of main sheet, Cunningham, jib Cunningham, everything.
There's been lots and lots of talk all the way through this series about the advantage of momentum. You've got that now, except that you go into a 24-hour break. Is that frustrating from your point of view?
No, not at all. It's been pretty intense, to be honest. Yeah, looking forward to a little break, and then it feels like we can really sort of focus in on Friday's conditions.
Would you rather just get out there and get it done, though?
Oh, I'd like to go sailing every day.
Just as we thought we started to understand what strengths and weaknesses of either team are, the game changes again. Is it as confusing for you?
Well, not confusing. Today we just didn't perform well as a team. 2 different mistakes in the 2 different races, and we didn't deserve the 2 points. As simple as that. But I know that we can do better than what we did today. We've proven in the past, and we have to just deliver it on Friday.
Jimmy yesterday, and yourself actually, talk a lot about momentum and how important that is. Is the fact that there is no racing for 24 hours, does that help break the momentum now that maybe INEOS have got?
Probably, yeah. If I could choose, it's probably better not to race tomorrow. And yeah, I would say yes. I'm not shy on saying it.
With the score at 6-4, this is the first time in 6 days that a team has taken the lead by the end of the day. And what a day to be talking about momentum. INEOS Britannia is just one race away from going through as the challenger in the 37th America's Cup. If they do, this will be the first time since 1964. That's a story in anybody's book, surely. And so too will be a comeback by Rossa. And if there's one team that can pull it off, it's this one. Tomorrow is a reserve day, and for all the talk and momentum, I'm not sure what a quiet 24 hours will do for that. What I do know is that was one hell of a day. See you on Friday, if not before. And now, I'm going to have an ice cream. Thank you very much. 2? No, it's for him, Richard, the cameraman. Not that greedy.